You're watching the Isaiah Factor, uncensored.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for the second half hour. The Factor Uncensored. Actor and singer Tyrese's personal life is making headlines once again. Monday, he was arrested for failing to make the correct child support payments to his ex-wife, Samantha Lee. According to reports, he owed more than $73,000. He also said there was a prenup. Is this a classic case of a divorced man being wronged? And can other men relate? Joining us to talk about it, comedian Ben Daniel, and divorced dads David Settle and Demetrius Walker. Glad to have you all here on The Factor. And first of all, I think the current amount he wanted to pay was $3,000 a month. And of course, they wanted him to pay between $10,000 and $12,000 a month. And his income each month, according to the court and court records, is $275,000 a month, which comes out to just over $3 million a year. So, David, when you look at those, you're like, I can't even fathom that.
Listen, how many kids do we have? 2? I got 5, man. Them numbers would have been exponentially greater. Wonderful math, by the way. But, I mean, I think the question is, are men targeted or are we unfairly targeted in these type of situations? And I know a lot of guys are not going to take my stance, but I absolutely disagree. Like, as a man, if you lay down with a woman, and especially if you get married and create a family, like, it's your responsibility to take care of these kids, right? Whether you get divorced or not, that obligation still carries you. Like, you are the provider, the protector, and that comes with taking care of, or let me say, supporting the mother as well. Like, you can't just take care of the kids and not the mom, right? So, are we unfairly targeted in these situations? Absolutely not.
All right. And we're not talking about everyone's making Tyrese money, just so you're aware.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you can have a person who makes $2,000, $3,000 a month, and $1,000 has to go to child support. So, would you agree there?
I mean, absolutely. Per capita, you know, if we're talking about the ratio in terms of what you make and what you pay, I think that, you know, it would probably balance out, right? Like, I'm definitely not making Tyrese money, but I'm probably paying the same percentage, right? To make sure that my children are taken care of and they have everything they need, the resources that they need, they're fed, the schools that they go to, the clothes that they need, the extracurricular activities. Isaiah, I'm just glad I had gas money to get here. You know what I'm saying?
Look at God, looking out for you. I mean, and Demetrius, you have almost a different situation where you like send that money here.
Well, you know, yeah, I have primary custody of my son, and I'm grateful for that. But, you know, I talk to a lot of fathers, and even when I was on the other side of the fence and I didn't have custody of my son, I realized that fathers...
But while you had custody, and even, you know, a kid who may be under the law capable and required to receive child support, did the mother pay you child support?
Well, I don't want to speak on my situation. You know.
Now we're private.
Well, I'm doing just fine for myself as an entrepreneur.
But go ahead,
so,
sir.
You know, I don't need any assistance at the moment. I'm blessed to be in that position. But you know, I do say that people do have a responsibility, whether you have custody or not, to make sure that your child is properly taken care of. With that said, I feel that fathers don't have many rights when it comes to you know, child support and custody. You know, in the state of Texas, for instance, for a father to get custody of their child, the mother has to be, you know, seen as either a drug addict, mentally unfit, or just crazy. You know, that's pretty much the only instances where the father will be even considered, you know, for custody of the child, which I think is very unfair to a lot of fathers.
And of course, the standard's totally different for fathers.
Oh yes, it's totally different. You know, whether or not you're more educated, you make more money, you have a more stable household, none of that matters. You know, 96% of the time, the child is awarded to the mother.
All right. Sir, let's hear what you have to say about this.
These are things I can say because I don't have children and I'm currently single. I can say the things these gentlemen can't say. Of course the situation is set up against men. The only reason marriage exists as an institution is because men have gambling problems. We're willing to walk into a room and be like, you know what? I'm gonna put half my stuff on this woman. Half my stuff, this gonna work out and be okay.
Yeah, the chips.
And society nudge you that way too. You accidentally slip up, get somebody pregnant. Oh, you have to get married and do the responsible thing and be a parent. But the second you get married, you're responsible for that standard of living. I'm not saying you're not obligated to care for your children. Where the system stacks you is in the way they consider your child cared for. It's the percentages, because you have to maintain that child's lifestyle and your wife's lifestyle currently. But also, in the meantime, you also have to live. And most people that have jobs are currently living up to their means. So now you have to have enough income to provide the standard you already had, plus a half that didn't exist to take care of yourself, because you're not going to be staying in the same house. You're going to have segmented bills. You got a state like Texas, where 81% of the time alimony is awarded to a woman. That's inequality right there. You can't tell me 89% of the time that's the better option. We're still on a 1950 standard where a man is expected to provide for a woman 10, 15 years after a marriage. Shut up and go get a job. How about that? I'm not talking about child support. This is just alimony. If you're a single woman getting divorced, go get a job. I don't have to care about you anymore. We are segregated. Why are you in my pockets? Why are you in my life? I'm not in your bed. That was the marital agreement. If you getting alimony payments, I was getting
But you know,
payments.
you said, to prove your point, I mean, to your point, like...
And we got to wrap it up, but go ahead, really
the
quick.
marriage agreement, yeah, you should have. The marriage agreement, right? The contract, the commitment, the covenant that you took on, these are all consequences of a broken covenant, right? These are all consequences of a broken promise. Like when you get married, you promise to take care of this person and this family that you had. So
All right, so you have that commitment.
You
All right.
defaulted.